So we notice something similar. E has x in its power in both these terms. In math, to solve problems, you often want to think about how you could rewrite them. So if you have e to the 2x, that's the same thing as e to the x squared, because powers on top of powers will multiply. That's a rule of exponents. This is the same thing as this. That's kind of the key to unlocking how to start this problem. Because 2 times x makes 2x. And now that we see that, this is kind of like x squared minus x minus 56. It's a quadratic. Okay, it's quadratic in terms of e to the x power. So a nice way to do this might be to say that y equals e to the x. That way you can replace all those e to the x's with something simpler, with y. And now we just have a quadratic equation. You could use the quadratic formula, or you could solve by factoring. Try to find two numbers that multiply to be negative 56, but add up to be negative 1, like we did in our algebra course. That could have been a long time ago, but when you try to factor a quadratic, a trinomial, you start off each parentheses with a y, unless there's a coefficient here. Then you'd have to. It gets a little bit more complicated. Start off each parentheses with a y, and then you got to find two numbers that multiply to be negative 56, but add up to be this negative 1. So you could play around with your calculator. 56 divided by 6. That's not going to work. 56 divided by 7. Ooh, that could work. 7 times 8 would make 56. So you want the 7 to be positive and the 8 to be negative. Because 7 times negative 8 makes negative 56. And I chose the negative sign on the 8 because negative 8 plus 7 equals negative 1. If you're having a hard time with this factoring, you use the quadratic formula, where b is negative 1, a is 1, c is negative 56, and a is 1, like we said. So you could plug that in, you're going to get the same answer. The nice thing about factoring is you don't have to go through all those steps, because once you have it factored, you just set each factored piece equal to that 0. When you solve by factoring, you've got to make sure it's first set equal to 0. Ours was already set equal to 0. But set each factored piece equal to 0 and solve. You get y equals negative 7 and y equals 8 for our two solutions. Now that's what y is. We've got to go back up here and plug that in for e to the x. Plug that in for y to solve for e to the x. Okay? So that's what e to the x is. To get e to the x by itself, I think this has come up. You want to use a natural log. Okay? So what we're going to do to both sides is use a natural log. Because a natural log is an inverse of an exponential function base e. So basically it's going to undo that e. Anytime you want to solve when the variable is in the exponent, you need a logarithm. We're just choosing natural log ln because it's going to make things simplify really nicely. Okay, because over here on the right side of this equation, natural log of e to the x is just x. But now natural log of negative 7 can't happen. So this answer over here does not exist. This isn't a possible answer. Okay, we can't solve for x because natural log negative 7 is undefined. So here's 7, here's negative 7. If you punch natural log, invalid input. Okay. Now over here though, 8 equals e to the x. We can solve. We take a natural log of both sides. And the whole reason for doing that is because natural log of e to the x is just x. Natural log 8, I wonder if we could just write that as our answer. You can simplify that a little bit. That's natural log of 2 to the third, because 2 to the third is equal to 8. And then you could use your exponent rule to write that 3 on the outside. Let me go to Mobi. Okay, so our answer was 3 natural log 2. Let me type that in. 3 times natural log 2. And let's submit. What is this? Question 6. Okay. Let's make sure it likes that. Oh, I didn't even read the instructions. Maybe it said you're supposed to write as a decimal. Question 6. No, it likes that. Wait, no. Question 6. Yes, it does. Okay. 3 times natural log 2. Oh, it even wanted it said the unsimplified answer was okay too.